Okay, here we are, second video of the day. Oh, it's a bit jumpy right now, but let's talk about SmackDown. Let's talk about it right now. Kicking it off with the Women's United States Championship. What did I say in my last review of SmackDown? After Zelina Vega faced Chelsea Green one-on-one and beat her clean, you shouldn't have champions losing in matches unless they're losing the belt. So I said, I feel like down the line, whenever Zelina Vega gets a shot now, she's going to take the title. What did she do on SmackDown? She beat Chelsea Green. She took the title. We have new Women's United States Champion, Zelina Vega. I think it's the right choice. I was rooting for Chelsea Green to win the Money in the Bank. She didn't. I was rooting for Chelsea Green to win the Women's United States Championship when she first did. And she did. And the reason was because I knew the potential of Chelsea Green. She's a great character. She's not the best in the ring, but she's a great character, and that's what's important in WWE, to push someone as a champion, right? Like, Gunther's great in the ring, but as a character, is he that good? Well, that's the difference between, that's why he wasn't a great, that's why he was a great Intercontinental Champion, but not an amazing World Champion, because World Champion is the main story, and for that you need a lot of character. Mid-card, you can be a bit more focused on in-ring action because it doesn't get the main storyline. So that's why Gunther was a great Intercontinental Champion and not a great World Champion. So that's why I always thought put the mid-card title on Chelsea Green, because it's something to put her in the spotlight. She's not world title level yet because she still needs to do some in-ring work and establish herself as one of the best. But at least they could utilise her character for something. And WWE dropped the ball, We got to see our character a bit, but we didn't get to see her in the ring as much and defend it. And they've dropped the ball with these women's mid-card titles, regardless. But regardless, we have the first ever second women's mid-card champion. Zelina Vega is the first woman to pin an inaugural mid-card champion. And Zelina Vega is the Women's United States Championship. And it's the right move because she's, talented in the ring. I feel like someone like Michin or B-Fab wouldn't have been a big enough name. Zelina Vega seemed like the perfect one. That's actually her first title in WWE. I think that's including the tag belt, but don't quote me on that. I'm happy that happened because it brings something different. And I feel like the women's mid-card titles, let's change them around a bit with all the mid-card titles, because world titles get held forever and we don't need that happening with the mid-card titles. Let's have plenty of defences. Let's have plenty of title changes, because with the World Championships we don't get that because they need to be prestigious, whereas the mid-card titles, that's where we need to have our fun. The same with tag titles, one of them needs to be passed around while one of them is being held for a while. So yeah. Then the United States Championship, obviously Jacob Fatu took it at WrestleMania. LA Knight came out saying he wanted another shot because obviously he deserves a rematch clause, Then Drew McIntyre came out after beating Damian Priest, and there was a great promo between Drew McIntyre and LA Knight, which led to a match against them later on to determine the number one contender to the United States Championship. While I think Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu would be a great match, a fantastic match for the United States Championship, I feel like Drew McIntyre is the man to take the United States Championship off of Jacob Fatu, which is why I wouldn't want him to win this match straight away and take the first shot. It's like in 2019 when AJ Styles was Seth Rollins' first opponent for the Universal Championship, because I feel like AJ would be the perfect guy to take the belt off, and to have a match that early means he's not having it. But regardless, I like that they added Drew to the scene, because Drew McIntyre is definitely world title worthy. However, there is still stars like John Cena, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, who are all going to be prioritising the world title picture before Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre is too good to be walking around in non-title feuds and not have a belt at some point. So I feel like a mid-card title would be good for him, because it would establish some dominance and bring some prestige back to, the United States Championship. Gunther brought prestige back to the Intercontinental Championship. I feel like Drew McIntyre could bring prestige back to the United States Championship, but Jacob Fatu still needs a longer reign. So Drew McIntyre is definitely the man to bring it back. But regardless, I'm talking too fast. But in that match, Drew McIntyre, LA Knight were going at it, and it got interrupted by Damian Priest. It was the disqualification. Well, first of all, I like that neither star has lost to one another, because both are stars and both shouldn't be losing matches. But then also, it's not an end to Damian Priest Drew McIntyre feud, which is alright, but I also feel like it's not going to be prolonged too much longer, because they're also adding Damian Priest into that United States title picture, because they have plenty of these big stars that they're not actually doing anything with. So this means we've got plenty of matches for Jacob Fatu, either one-on-one or as a fatal four-way. We could have Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight, Jacob Fatu versus Damian Priest, Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre. And obviously at some point Solo Sikoa is going to turn on Jacob Fatu and he's going to have that. So I'm glad we've got plenty of potential matchups and feuds lined up. That's good. Let's talk tag team division. Women's tag team champions were there on SmackDown, in all respects to them, because they fought on WrestleMania Sunday for the belts, lost them. They fought on Monday Night Raw, fought and won them back, and they fought on NXT on Tuesday and defended them again. So yeah, obviously they didn't need to be on SmackDown. But the WWE tag team titles were in the main event, which I get to later. Let's talk about some other tag teams first. Now, originally, Los Garza were also involved in this feud for the tag belts, along with Street Profits, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, and Street Profits. And I thought, yeah, we had a triple threat ladder match, but we should have had a fatal five-way ladder match with Pretty Deadly and Los Garza in it as well. But it didn't happen. But they did do something with Los Garza, and that was to be the opponents for the debuting team, Fraxium. Now, I thought Trick Williams was going to move up from NXT, but no, Fraxium did, and fair play to them. You know, they had a long NXT title reign, they weren't getting along as much on NXT, and I thought they were going to break up. But now that there's new champions, to have something different to do with Fraxium, to put them on the main roster, and they beat Los Garza in their debut, an impressive debut. I like that, because they're doing something different with Fraxium. They did something with Los Garza, but also as Los Garza lost again, as they both lost to Rey Fenix, Santos Escobar was shaking his head in disappointment. So obviously he wants better for his team, and I feel like it's going to be a switch where Los Garza are going to turn on Santos, or maybe Santos is going to make them more serious. Who knows what will happen, but that something's happening with Legado del Fantasma, shall I say. But that was a great debut for Fraxium. Speaking of tag teams, the newly found tag team TankNiplz, who I thought would get a title shot at WrestleMania, didn't. Would have had a title shot by now, didn't. But Carmelo Hayes did win the Andre Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and Miz actually went out to the ring. I don't even know what for, maybe to declare himself for some shots or something. But then we had the return, you know. WrestleMania, Becky Lynch came back, Monday Night Raw, Rusev came back, NXT, Noam Dar came back, and now SmackDown, Aleister Black made the predicted return. We were all waiting for him. You know, all these returns are great, but we were waiting for Aleister Black, and he came back, and he hit a black mass on the Miz. He came back with his original theme, by the way. Respect, because WWE, when do they ever do that, you know? The only person that did that for was like CM Punk, because he's a legend, Cody Rhodes, because it's his theme song. And he's like, he wouldn't have went to WWE if he couldn't have that theme song. But they did it for Aleister Black, and I'm glad they did. Hit a black mass on the Miz, and we're going to get Aleister Black versus The Miz next week, which I also like. Because imagine Aleister Black versus Jacob Fatu. My God, that would be gorgeous. It would be gorgeous, right? So yeah, that happened. Fantastic. But in the main event, we had the triple threat match between DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, and Street Profits. And obviously the Street Profits retained. I don't think it would have made any sense to put the belts back on DIY or put them on Motor City Machine Guns. So they kept them with Street Profits. But what a banger match they had. Probably one of the best TLC matches I've ever seen. I mean, they had spots with everything. They spiked people on chairs, put people through tables, put people through ladders. At one point, Montez Ford hit someone with a prosthetic leg that was from one of the fans in the crowd. But they had the most amazing spot ever. Do you remember that spot at WrestleMania when Jeff Hardy was hanging from the titles and Edge speared him off the titles on the floor? Yeah, well, they did that, but through a table. Through a fucking table. Right? I mean, it wasn't as clean like Montez Ford hit the table before Tommaso Ciampa did, and Montez Ford obviously speared Tommaso Ciampa. But it was a cool spot nonetheless. An absolutely amazing match, amazing main event. Street Profits retained. I don't think I would have harmed to put Pretty Deadly in that match whatsoever. I get Los Garza were debuting against Fraxium, but Pretty Deadly could have been in that match. But now also with Fraxium being on the main roster, the newly found team, Miz, the Street Profits have some future opponents to defend their belts again. So this is good. This is good. Let's talk women's division. Bianca Belair returned to SmackDown because she is the SmackDown superstar. Even after she, you know, because Chamber should win the shot for the Women's World Championship, which meant she had to be on Raw. And although she failed, she says she will go back to that. She will go back to EO and rehab, but that division is quite full right now, and she's still got unfinished business on SmackDown, obviously alluding to Naomi and Jade. So I think she's going to have a feud with Naomi and Jade, have a match with Naomi, maybe have an argument with Jade, and they'll have a match, have a dream match. And then at some point, maybe after the draft, she'll be going over to Raw, or she'll end up on the same brand as Rhea Ripley. We'll get the dream match with Rhea Ripley as well, and then she'll have the one-on-one match with Io somewhere down the line. So Bianca's fully stacked. Tiffany Stratton, on the other hand, came out after beating Charlotte Flair, and the first person that came out was Jade Cargill, and we were going to get Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton that night. I thought we'd get it at a pay-per-view for the title at some point. And, you know, Tiffany's held the belt long enough. I feel like someone like Tiffany doesn't have to hold the belt for a year or something like that, you know. She's held it since, was it just before the Rumble or just before the end of the year? So for me, that's long enough for Tiffany Stratton. Anyway, we got the match, but the match didn't end. Naomi came out and attacked Jade Cargill, obviously not being done, which is fair. You know, they have such a big feud like that, can't just end with a simple win at WrestleMania. So that tells me Jade and Naomi's going to continue, but it also puts Naomi and Jade into the women's title division. But then after, Nia Jax made a return, not seen that way, and she attacked Tiffany Stratton. People are mad about this because they feel like it should be done with Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, because, you know, and Tiffany Stratton's whole range has only had 2 feuds, which is Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair, but Tiffany's only been champ for about 4 months. I feel like that's reasonable. But also, I'd like some closure on that Nia feud, because are we forgetting Tiffany stabbed Nia in the back, even though she's the face, she stabbed Nia in the back in order to win the title and took the title. And I don't even know, we got like a rematch on SmackDown and then a tag team match at Elimination Chamber. Like, we need closure on that. I think it's very, the fact they're very nonchalant, it's been very anticlimactic. The fact that Nia Jax hasn't, you know, just went after Tiffany saying you turned on me and took my title. Like, I feel like we need proper closure. So they need something to do with Tiffany while Jade and Naomi finish their feud, so that she's going to go up against Nia again. People are pissed about it, I'm not. So I feel like Jade's probably going to beat Naomi, or Naomi's going to beat Jade, whatever, and Tiffany's going to beat Nia, and then the winner of the Jade and Naomi fight will fight Tiffany while Bianca feuds with the other person. So that's good. I didn't mind that at all. It was a banger match between Tiffany and Jade, and I'm glad it didn't end just like the LA Knight Drew McIntyre one, because it means we can get it down the line. It means one of the major stars isn't just losing on an episode of SmackDown in a non-prestigious, non-meaningful match whatsoever. But let's get to the WWE title picture. Let's not fool around. John Cena came out after getting RKO'd on Monday Night Raw. We've not seen Cody Rhodes since WrestleMania, and they're probably going to give him some time off while Cena feuds with Orton. But they basically confirmed that obviously in 3 weeks' time, Backlash in St. Louis, Missouri, Randy Orton's hometown, Randy Orton's host after Backlash. It's obviously going to be Randy versus Cena for the title, and that's what they declared. They hit a promo against each other, and Randy seemed quite friendly, and he said what John Cena needs is to have some kids, and I thought this was very weird and very like personal promo, and I felt like, I don't know if they spring that on Cena, but that would have been something that would have had to probably but that's something that probably would have had to run by Cena before they went on TV to say like, is this okay with you? So yeah, but that was Randy's whole thing. He said you should have kids, Cena, and Cena said, well, the reason I don't have kids is because I've been raising all these kids for years. All these WWE fans who are now adults, or older WWE fans who've had kids, I've raised their kids for years, and this is how they react. They're spoiled and ungrateful. They turn on me whenever they want, and they've treated me like shit. That's why I don't have my own kids, because I've raised millions of kids, and I've turned out to be wankers, essentially. And I'm loving this. John Cena's wearing the green. I'm fucking loving the green. It reminds me of 2012. Like, it's amazing. The belt's starting to look good on Cena because he's actually wearing it properly. I don't like the way he's been wearing it around his waist. Like, I'm liking the way he's wearing it over his shoulder. It looks better. I wish people would unbuckle the belt, you know, and actually hold it over their shoulder like a strap. People keep it strapped up together and hold it and let it just hang and hold it weirdly. Like, if you're gonna hold it in your hand, which you shouldn't do, you should have it over your shoulder unstrapped, or have it around your waist strapped with the title facing the right way. People hold it in such shit ways. When someone holds it in a unique way like John Cena has, it's an exception because it's unique. Like, they're building it to a character. But when someone just has it strapped up and they're just holding it like it's a paper bag, like, I think that's stupid as hell. So whatever. But Cena, Orton, Backlash, who's not gassed for it? Do you know what I mean? this SmackDown was a bang. This was, do you know when I said, you know, Raw was like being 5-star and SmackDown's been a bit eh? This week, Raw was fucking banging, NXT was alright, SmackDown was fucking banging, do you know what I mean? This was an amazing Raw after WrestleMania, and it was an amazing SmackDown after WrestleMania. Both shows, all 3 shows banged. I mean, NXT, it's never really going to bang because they don't have those main superstars, but it was a not bad show whatsoever. I'm a bit disappointed with how they've treated Javon Evans after his title match. He should definitely be in the title picture, but it's fine. But SmackDown actually banged for once, and I'm happy about it. So, thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.